As their private plane smoothly soared through the night sky, Kiri gently held her daughter, reassuring her that there was nothing to be afraid of during the flight. The little girl, however, continued to grip her mother's hand tightly and stared out the window with wide-eyed unease. In a small attempt to break the silence, Dante Jr. hesitantly turned to Lei Song and asked, "Now, can you tell me why we had to leave the party so early? Did something happen?" Lei Song exchanged a glance with Kiri before replying cautiously, "There was an incident at Air Temple Island, and an injured boy needed to be rushed to our medical wing. It required your mom's and Dr. Solaris's immediate attention. It's nothing you need to concern yourself with, Junior." However, the young man continued to inquire further. "An incident?" Lei Song sighed. "Something to do with longtime friends of your grandparents and an equalist attack." Although he spoke the last part in a hushed voice, it wasn't hushed enough to keep Kauna from overhearing. "See? I knew it. That just proves my point about how the neurolens could be best utilized. The Avatar had her chance to end the equalist movement, and she couldn't do it, but I can." She quickly corrected herself. "We can, with the medical and technological advancements made at Varick Pharma." Kiri and Lei Song exchanged concerned glances as the young woman spoke passionately about her beliefs. Lu Chan remained silent, feigning interest in a book he found on board while thinking about what Junior said back on Whaletail Island. "Kauna's work and research are her life." Lu Chan listened intently as she continued. Kiri sighed softly before responding to Kauna's ambitions. "My dear, there's much more complexity involved in awakening dormant genes. Inside the human body, there is an intricate and delicate ballet of electrochemical and biochemical processes. Just because we can see that beautiful ballet doesn't mean we have the right to puppeteer the performance." Kauna rolled her eyes to what she clearly thought was an over-dramatization. "Well, that's not what Grandpa, a.k.a. the majority shareholder, thinks." Lei Song cleared his throat. "Regardless of what we can do, we must respect the balance of nature and be cautious not to wield too much power over it." Undeterred by their cautionary words, Kauna's gaze held conviction as she replied firmly, "I understand your concerns, but I still believe we can make a difference. Varick Pharmaceuticals will be the solution." Varick stood on the terrace, watching as the remnants of their anniversary celebration were carted away. Zhu Li joined him, her own gaze somber as she too considered the night's dark turn. "Ah, well," Varick quipped, attempting to lighten the mood. "At least once we've dealt with our horde of freeloading family members, we can zip on over and pick up Janora and Law's father." His casual demeanor brought a faint smile to Zhu Li's lips, but it quickly faded. She reached out and placed a tender hand on her husband's arm. "Honey, you know you're not well enough for that kind of travel right now," she advised gently, concern etched in her brow. "It will be a long trip. Last I heard, Lanzu was at the Southern Temple, while Janora has been at the Western Air Temple for some time now. I can go instead, while you oversee our freeloading family members." Varick chuckled softly and knew his wife was right. "Very well, my love. You can make the long trip while I make sure our extended clan doesn't eat us out of house and home." Their eyes met briefly before they both returned their gazes back to the view from their high perch. Lost in thought, they mulled over the recent events and contemplated the coming challenges. The plane continued to cut through the night sky as time and exhaustion slowly cut through the tension inside the cabin. The group had momentarily run out of arguments and issues to discuss, leaving them with little choice but to close their eyes and try to rest. Kauna, however, remained lost in thought, her goals for Varick Pharma swirling incessantly within her mind. Lu Chan watched her from his seat as she moved to rub the back of her head and then bumped her elbow against the window. She looked up and their eyes met briefly before he looked away. Kauna got up and walked toward the bathroom, but fell onto Lu Chan's lap as she passed him by. If it was by choice or due to her condition, he didn't know, but he knew which one he preferred. "Oh, sorry," she giggled as she braced herself onto him. "There's more of that beauty of imperfection you were talking about earlier." He just smiled in reply as she picked herself up and sat across from him. "So, I heard some of your ideas for your mum's company?" He finally managed to stammer. "Oh, just some?" she asked, with a slight smile, while pulling some loose hair away from her face. Lu Chan squirmed before responding. I just think your ideas were really good, and you're so passionate when you talk about them." Kauna actually began to blush, and he could feel his pulse double. She put a hand on the small table between them, brushing against his as she did. Accidental or conditional, again, Lu Chan didn't know. "What did you think of what Kiri said about the bio and electrochemical ballet that happens in the body?" she asked, without waiting for a response. "You've been training with Solaris for a long time. I bet you're pretty good at chi reading and chi guiding by now." Kauna continued in her seemingly random subject change. "Do you think the chi energy in someone's body has any connection to the electrochemical processes Kiri was referring to?" Lu Chan thought for a moment, not of the question, but of what combination of words would make this conversation last forever. The plane eventually descended through the cold night air, landing safely at Eska International Airport in the Northern Water Tribe. As they disembarked, Kiri held Nene reassuringly, sensing her daughter's relief to be back on solid ground. The group split up at the airport. Kiri and her daughter headed off to their home, as Lei Song and Lu Chan retired back to theirs. Dante and Kauna wasted no time getting back to their estate. The private driver their mum had arranged was right outside the airport and greeted his two pacified passengers with a well-honed, forced smile that quickly disappeared as soon as they stumbled into the back seat. Once the siblings were back home, Junior went straight to bed, while Kauna tried to stay up until their mother returned. However, moments later, they were both sound asleep.